Interestingly enough, and I don't know if this was on the agenda or if you spoke about it, but the hearing that took place just a couple days ago, and quite honestly, usually we go through everything that's on the list and then we have a final thought. My final thought is, I'll kind of just lead with that, which is the Final Four as we saw it this year. How often do we see all the number ones in there? We really don't. And who really had a chance to challenge them? There were a few challenges, but when it came right down to it, the Dukes, Duke had to be upset in order to be taken out. And was it that big of an upset? Maybe not. And now, is this going to be the norm? And
Mhm.
because of the transfer portal, is this going to be the norm? When you are watching these games, I can't tell you how many times I heard, and there's Brandon First. This is going to be his third
Mhm.
NCAA Final Four in the last 3 years. Now, he was with Baylor last year, and he's playing for Kentucky this year, and he played for Houston 2 years ago. As long as these kids have the ability to change at their own will or to follow their coach. Let's talk about Ben Sturts as an example. Like,
Mhm.
there he is. One day he's here with his coach, the coach leaves, he follows. And what happens to that program now? Is that program going to go the way of, well, we can't compete in Division 1 anymore because we just don't have the bucks to do it? Um, the thing is, and I know you asked me a specific question, what would I do to change it? I would take it to the courts. However, when you look at, if you read any of the transcript from what happened in the courts on Monday, what an S show that
Yeah.
was. Nobody made any decisions. Student athletes came out and made their opinions known. You had former players, a former collegiate player, I believe he was from Washington, and he says, "Hey, I'm getting paid the same." He goes, "I was pretty recognized when I was playing. I did pretty good. I made a good the same player who's not even on the starting, lineup." And now they're talking about, well, we're going to reduce rosters and we're going to have to
Mhm.
watch the scholarships that are out there. And then and then they're talking about this X amount of billions of dollars, and we can go back and do some retro payments to people, try to even out things. But then they said the majority of that will probably go to football and basketball. Now, I assure you that doesn't mean it's going to women's basketball. It's
Mhm.
going to men's basketball and football. And what happens to the girls softball team? What happens to the guys that are playing baseball? I mean, those guys get out of there. There's not a European league they go to like with basketball. They are going to either play single A, double A, maybe triple A. It depends how good they are. And these guys are bunking, 3, 4 to an apartment and riding on buses and eating top ramen for the next 5 years trying to break into the majors. Something needs to be fixed. And I like to think, oh, they're Mr. Know It All. He knows everything. No, I really don't know how to fix this one. I don't know how you reset it without getting tangled up in months and years of litigious action because that's what's going to happen. Um, Libby Dunn, she said, "Hey, you can't do this. What you're talking about because I'm not just an athlete. I'm a good athlete and I'm a good business person as well. And when you start doing that and you're going to undervalue what I really bring to the table, she's not wrong.
Mhm.
She's not
Yeah.
wrong about that. You look at the flag from Duke. I couldn't believe it. I sat there. I was trying to explain the NIL to somebody. I said, "This kid's on an AT&T commercial in the middle of the tournament. You would have never seen that
Mhm.
2 years ago."
Yeah.
So what do you do to fix it? I don't know. You have to blow it up. There is talk that there is an attorney involved with this case, or I believe it's an attorney, and they're saying his effort is to just basically blow up the NCAA.
Well,
And
and that was my thing, and I don't wanna fully rehash it, but I think they need to get out from underneath the umbrella of the NCAA. I legitimately, you talk about that court case, and I'm glad you brought it up. Ironically, I almost didn't send the rundown to you on Tuesday because when I opened up my internet or my browser to send you the first page was NCAA huge ruling in courts that will, and I was like, oh, I got to read this. And I did read it. And again, it was a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of kicking the can. And I brought up that the NCAA has no like real want and or desire to fix this. The NCAA lost a lot of money with the NIL deal. And now they're saying, okay, you are the ones who like need to police this. And they went, no. Or maybe didn't say no, but they're acting as if it's no. And I just personally, I don't think there's any reason for the NCAA to fix this. And that's the problem. You're right. I think they need to, again, I brought up club sports. I don't know the exact of that. I don't know how that fully goes down. There's maybe a lot of things behind the scenes, but you have to get out from underneath it and you have to reset a system starting from scratch and allow everyone to kind of set the rules there. So, and then
somebody has to police though, because you're going to have the big divisions with the big money. I'll tell you what I watched in the Final Four or the NCAA championship, and as the last six, we start at the Sweet 16, let's say, and the sports page or the sports feeds were all, as soon as somebody lost, well, these kids already said they're not coming back. This coach already said he's moving on. This guy says he's going to be out of here, next year. I mean, and just blatant. And again, when you're doing that, how does a coach sit in somebody's living room or send his assistant coach and say, your kid needs to come play for us? The only thing they're going to guarantee is, hey, come play for us. We got a good chance. And you know what? There's a chance that this might happen down the road where they actually snap me up at this school. I'll get then the recruiting becomes, I promise I'll take you with me when I go. And that's just the way it is. But again, this hitting close to my sports heart and my home, this could have been Gonzaga's last chance to have a legitimate shot at the national championship, because you know what? They're good and they can recruit good and they can recruit good to be competitive in the West Coast Conference. Well, guess what? They're not in the West Coast Conference anymore. They're going to be playing a different caliber of ball next year when it comes regular season time. And they've got good boosters, but they don't have deep pocket boosters like some of these other universities do. And that's probably going to be, that's when now when Gonzaga loses 6, 7, 8, 9 games and you say, oh, they don't have a chance, that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And I am just hoping that this year was kind of a one-off with all 4 number 1 seeds. And not only that, but if number 1 seeds make it, that's fine. But I think for me, it was the lack of competition or at least competitive games that kind of got us there. It seemed like every game started 15-4. And it was just, ugh, you never really got into it except for maybe a few here and there. But